Yo, yo, yo. Hit 'em high, hit 'em low. It is the Noble Just Ball podcast with your boy Nick Hughes, Brandon Brito down below, Julian Delgado off to the side. Very on brand today, Julian. Yankees, Mets flying in the background, currently tied 2-2 in what are we, bottom of the eighth?
Bottom of the eighth.
Yeah. Bottom of the eighth. Hell of a game. Fun stuff. We'll talk about that a bit later. I am in Truist Park today, just to piss off Brandon. Also, as a little bonus piss off to Brandon, there's a Miami Marlin Jazz Chisholm behind me. So I just doubled down on the NL East rivals.
As long as he stays a Miami Marlin on August 3rd, I don't mind. That's fine.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So great segue, because the thing we're going to talk about today is the trade deadline, which is very fast approaching. We got all of a week, essentially, until MLB teams have to make their decisions final for the year. There's no more of that weird waiver period that used to happen after this. Very happy that's
like secondary trade deadline.
Yeah, was like no, didn't like that. So this is the true hard stop. MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred, love him, hate him, despise him, really loathe the individual, whatever your stance is. We now are subject to his sort of decision making on where the trade deadline lies. He said August 2nd, right? Is it August 2nd or August 3rd?
August 2nd is the trade deadline. August 3rd would be like you can't do anything on August 3rd.
Okay, yeah. All right.
Okay.
So August 2nd is the hardcore stop. So we're about a week out, right? All right. So with the trade deadline, what we're going to do here is we're going to play a fun round of Bull or Ball, a game we played on the show. But how we're going to do this is I have a random generator, a random name generator queued up that is going to run through a list of potential trade target names from some pretty abysmal teams, quite frankly. And you are going to tell me when it's your turn and it lands on this player, you're going to tell me where he's getting traded and for what. And the other two individuals will go Bull or Ball, quite frankly. We'll tell you, all right, you blowing smoke here? Is this a real thing that could happen? So without further ado, I thought something we've never actually done on the podcast, we're going to go in age order.
No.
So Brandon, our senior, is going to get first dibs here, has no idea who's coming up. And you guys will follow along here with us. So Brandon, I'm going to click go on this random name generator.
Let's see who we got. While you do that.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. You had your while we're doing it. I have the name.
No. Say the name, and then I'll tell you what I think we should do afterwards.
Okay, so we're off to a strong start. Wilson Contreras of the Chicago Cubs. Catcher DH.
All right. Do you want to read? What I was going to say is while in anticipation of my answer, do you want to give away like his stat line, how he's doing so far this year and stuff like that? Or do you want me to do that?
Go ahead. Give it away.
All right. Well, let me look up his stat line because I don't have that in front of me. Okay, Wilson. That's actually really.
What is that? Was such a weird play.
Okay.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen.
I think every single one of us has the Subway Series on in front of us.
Yeah.
So if I'm mouthing something off because I'm watching the game.
Yeah. If my eyes drift to the right or to the left based on how you're looking at it. That's exactly why. All right, so we're going to talk about Wilson Contreras. I think he is the last of the respectable Chicago Cubs team, the last man standing. I think he's officially the last player that was on that roster. Correct me if I'm wrong. That actually won the World Series that year. Maybe like other than like a scrub pitcher that was there or whatever. But that being said, the man who
Kyle Hendricks would have been the only other one.
Yeah.
Right?
But that being said,
you're on it though.
Yeah, because Ian Happ came a year later.
Oh, he did, right? Yeah. So
Yeah, he came in 2017. It was his first year with the Cubs.
all right. Well, that being said, I do think that Wilson Contreras is a man of a dying breed. I think he deserves the contract that he's going to get, but I know for a fact it's not going to be with the Cubs. The Cubs seem to officially be sellers. They seem to be on to that next stage in life where they just know at the end of the day, like, we're here to just get prospects. We're here to just keep building up. We're here to just keep moving on with the stuff that we want to show our team to keep to excel in. I literally wrote it down. That's why I'm so mad. Try to find it because this is actually the trade that I wanted. Here it is. Okay, so that being said, it was a very sentimental thought. I actually brought a tear to my eye about, once that all happened, the crowd gave him a standing ovation, which would most likely be his last game in Chicago. So obviously I'm going to go with one of the two front runners, and it's not the Astros here. I have Wilson Contreras going to the Mets. And the Mets are actually going to give up. What do I have? I have the Cubs get Dominic Smith, who is a Chicago native, Khalil Lee, which is the Mets' number 7 prospect. The Mets get David Robertson, and Wilson Contreras. I think at the end of the day, you're doing a fair value there because the Cubs are getting what they want in terms of a high prospect. Khalil Lee is a really speedy outfielder, great contact, obviously known for stealing bases. He's like a fringe MLB guy. I think after this season, he may even get a September call up at the end of the day. But I think no matter what, next season he will be in the MLB. If he's not on the Mets. And then Dom Smith, like I mentioned before, he's a Chicago native, which is actually a fun fact that I found out when I looked that up, which is pretty cool. But at the end, he's expressed for multiple months he doesn't want to be there because he wants an everyday role. And I think he'll get that opportunity in Chicago. So that's the trade I have. I'll start with Nick. Bull or ball?
I'm going to call ball. I also had Wilson Contreras to the New York Mets. My package was a little different. I'm going to be honest, good research on the Dom Smith being a Chicago kid. I had him straight up for the Mets number 5 overall prospect, Mark Vientos, utility guy. I feel like is essentially a year out from being an impact player. I saw him more as a corner outfielder for the Mets or the Cubs down the road. But man, we were there. I like the research though with the Dom Smith, and then that was
thank you.
That was good.
I prepared. What do you want me to say?
Go. Shouts out to your research department.
Thanks. We pay well here.
And Julian, what do you think there?
I actually have. I'm gonna call bull. You mentioned them, the Astros. I had the Astros making that change that I feel like they're always going to do. They're going to be aggressive in this trade deadline. The package I had them trading their number 3 overall prospect, Pedro Leon. And the reason is because when I was doing research, I was looking up MLB trade rumors, stuff like that. And I read an article today that was saying that Houston is not that worried about Contreras leaving and everything with all of the what's it called? The negotiations going on with the outside the U.S. contracts and stuff like that. Yeah. So they're not worried like whether they get a compensated pick if he leaves or anything like that. Yeah. So I figured if they're not that worried and it's like out there that they're not that worried, they're going to be aggressive and try to just win now and worry about it later.
For sure. Yeah, no. For me though, it was more of I think the Mets. I don't want to tip my hand too early. They have something in the pipeline behind the plate where, for me, I was looking at Wilson Contreras as the best available option at probably the most glaring position.
Yeah. And what's also like getting in terms of my trade, what's also getting undervalued here is also they get David Robertson. He has a very good connection also with Billy Epler. They were together with the Yankees. Robertson is clearly proving to be a sufficient relief pitcher and probably one of the only good ones on the market right now for the trade deadline. So they kind of fill both holes all 3 holes really in terms of a steady guy in the backstop or a DH at the end of the day, because there's that question mark of, mid-season, how well is he going to gel with an amazing starting pitching rotation. But
Yeah.
worst case scenario, you have someone at the DH. You fill a relief pitching hole, which you traded away from. You already had a little bit to begin with, and you get a good bat. So three strikes and you're out, right?
And then that's the main reason why I didn't choose the Mets, is because I don't know how well a mid-transition of a catcher in the middle of the season is going to affect your pitching staff, especially with how much, especially a guy like Max Scherzer says he loves the guys who are behind the plate, how well they're calling and gelling. It was kind of iffy that they go after a catcher for me. I can see it happening, but that's just my own little opinion.
That's fair. That's fair. All right. So this next one, let's click and see what we get.
All right.
Wow.
Who do you get?
All right. So this goes to me and a guy that we just talked about, David Robertson of the Chicago Cubs. Wow.
All right.
Way to tip your hand early there. Man, I'm gonna be honest. I also have him going to New York, but I have him going for his third stint with the New York Yankees. A guy who was drafted by, came up with, briefly assumed the closer role of, left in free agency, traded back to, left again, and now I have him getting traded back to a second time. For me, the Yankees are in desperate need of bullpen help. They were a week ago, and now Michael King is out for the season. It's only gotten worse for the Yankees in that bullpen. Aroldis Chapman, Jonathan Loaizaga have been far from their peaks can be. You can now only rely on Clay Holmes for so much, despite how great he's been. This is a team who desperately needs a guy who can be relied on for some heavy innings, like you talked about, Brandon. So I have the Yankees pursuing Robertson here. I have them going out and giving up their number 20th and 28th. The first name will be a little new. It's a right-handed pitcher, Brendan Beck, for a lot of folks at home. And then I have a brief major leaguer in Davy Garcia is the number 28th Yankees prospect, theoretically. A guy who's definitely lost some steam since being the number one pick in the system. Coming up, really lost command there for a bit. I think a change of scenery can do him good. For a 30-plus-year-old reliever, you can only ask for so much if you're the Cubs. So they'll happily take a 22-year-old and a 23-year-old, one of whom is a little bit more of a project. But that was my trade there. We'll start opposite way. Julian, how do you feel about that one?
I have Bull. I actually have a package from the Padres because they need a lot of bullpen help as well. So I have number 19 prospect Efrain Contreras, who's a young kid, but is projected to come up by 24, 25-ish. And then also a player to be named later because, a lot of those get attached to packages. But Padres are definitely a team that needs a lot of bullpen help, especially glaring today. Yu Darvish had pitched the gem and they blew it. So I feel like they're going to be very aggressive in the reliever market.
I like that. Brandon, your thoughts?
So my obvious thought is the Mets, obviously.
Yeah.
There. But to add a little wrinkle into the conversation, I actually have him, let's say I'll have him going for a player straight up deal to the Rays. The Rays are known for figuring out exactly great pitching prospects, whether it be starting pitching, relief pitching. They're a little weak in the relief pitching aspect. And right now that division, the Yankees have a hold of the top, but it's anyone's game after that to see who's going to make it into the wild card spot or whatever. So I'm going to make sure, I think they're going to make sure to kind of double down, solidify that pitching rotation and in this case, solidify that bullpen. So I have them actually going for cash considerations and trading away their number 19 prospects as well, Jonathan Aranda. I think he's the utility guy at the end of the day that they can figure out. They're really good at the pitching aspect, like I said. And I think that finding utility man, people that can play multiple positions. He's a genuine first baseman, but he definitely can play some second, he can play some third, maybe even some shortstop down the line. And the Cubs definitely need someone who has that flexibility to kind of solidify this farm rotation. He's in the AAA right now, and man, he's the power hitter. So who wouldn't want that, especially with possibly the Contreras leaving as well? You need someone to fill that void. So cast considerations and Jonathan Aranda for David Robertson to the race.
I like those. All right. I like it. I don't like that I got called bull on twice, but it's all right. We'll see where we go from here. Julian, you are up.
All right.
Your man is Garrett Cooper of the Miami Marlins.
Garrett Cooper. All right. So I actually have Garrett Cooper. I feel like one of these wild card teams are going to get very aggressive. So I have trade happy GM for the Mariners go out and trade their numbers 8 overall prospect Zach Delloc for Garrett Cooper, a bat for a bat. Delloc has a lot of pop, so I feel like the Marlins could definitely get their return. I'm assuming they're going to try to get younger. And like I said, the Mariners GM, he is trade happy. He will do whatever he can to make a trade happen, even if he has to sell a little high, which definitely would be happening with Garrett Cooper. But that's how I see it going down.
I'm going to right away, for the
Call ball.
second time in a row, call ball.
Oh, okay.
I also have Garrett Cooper to the Marlins. I had a little bit different of a package. I have the Marlins continuing their obsession with pitching.
Yeah.
So I have them taking back Emerson Hancock, who recently made his major league debut. He made his debut as a starter. I don't long-term see the fit there. He's a 2-pitch pitcher who's trying to figure out the third at a major league level in a wild card race. I don't love that.
Yeah.
I see him going to Miami and becoming more of a stable relief guy. Then I have number 16 overall in the Mariners system, George Feliz, an outfielder. Number 23, Juan then is another right-handed pitcher. Bless you. Strong fastball there, a little bit older of a prospect. And I feel like the Marlins are going for depth here. I don't think they're looking for a star in a Mariner system, but they're trying to go for, sort of a wide range, help you down the road, pick and play kind of guys.
Yeah, that's the same thing I was looking for.
But I really agree with you. I think the Mariners need a bat. You were right on the money with that one. And the fact that, he could slot in, play first base, either the corner or outfield slots, and DH, I think is a great pickup for the Mariners there.
I actually am also going to call bull, and I would have done the same. I would have called ball if not until news up until literally, if not this morning, it was probably last night where it came out that my pick, I have him going to now. I have the Dodgers doubling down and picking him up.
Ooh.
Just because they literally randomly showed how much interest they have with him. If he does go there, I think that they have a package of either Max Muncy and Andy Pages, their number 4 prospect who plays the outfield, or Andy Pages and Jose Ramos, their number 14 prospect. So the 4 and 14, just because they have a Max Muncy, they need to fit him in somewhere. This guy has all-star caliber talent. Max Muncy is at an off year, so they could trade low. I mean, depends on which side you're looking at. That could be a steal either way you want to look at the argument there. But if he's just strictly going to play the outfield and DH, their outfield is solidified, so might as well trade your top prospects and get as much as you can for it.
Yeah. I had the Dodgers being somewhat aggressive in same category, different player though, but we'll get to that later.
It's hard.
Yeah.
All right. So I actually went ahead. I thought I jumped the gun a little bit. Brandon, you're up again. And I clicked it. You have the first guy who is not a guarantee to be traded, I guess, in Brian Reynolds of the Pittsburgh Pirates.
That's going to be a hard one.
Yeah, there's no guarantee. There's still a number of years of team control attached there. I'll give you a second to gather your thoughts if you don't already have some.
No, I do have some, but I just wanted to hold on. Let me check my notes because I have him going somewhere else that I wouldn't be happy about it, but I think. All right.
Oh,
So
I know what you're saying, and ooh, is that really
I
Go
have
ahead.
Reynolds going to the New York Yankees.
Oh, that's not what I thought you were saying. Wow, go ahead.
Nick,
Tell me
that's what
more.
I thought that you were thinking.
Yeah,
Tell me more.
we were Julian and I were on the same page here. So I have him going to the New York Yankees. Whether the Yankees fans and the Yankees want to admit it or not, they really need to fix that glaring hole in the outfield. And then they have a certified DH, if not a young guy, controllable for a couple years. Joey Gallo isn't it. People whisper it. I'm going to just come out and say it as a non-Yankee fan. He is not the guy. You guys traded for him last year. He's an absolute jack shit since he's been on the Yankees. You need to get rid of him. I know we all thought Brett Gardner was going to come back. He's out chopping wood in Minnesota or something.
I keep waiting.
It's a pipe dream at this point. So that being said, I have Brian Reynolds going to the Yankees. In turn, the Pirates will get Joey Gallo, who then will get released. And I think they also will get cash considerations. And I think I see them getting Lewis Gill, and I see them getting Trey Sweeney. Two players that you can build off of, solid prospects. Trey Sweeney is a number 6 prospect. Lewis Gill is a number 9. 2 bottom 10 out of the top 10, 2 bottom half top 10 prospects. It's going to take something like that for the Pirates to pry from Brian Reynolds because they recently came out and said they don't want to trade him away for some reason, even though the beginning of the season said otherwise. But something like that, I think, would entice them to part ways because they have his replacement on the roster already.
Okay. Julian, you want to go ahead?
I'm going to call bull. I had him going to the other New York team.
Oh.
I created a package for the Mets with, you mentioned him earlier, Khalil Lee. I had Khalil Lee, Brandon Nimmo, number 20, third prospect, Jordani Ventura, and cash considerations in order for the prospect. Because I saw the same news. I'm like, okay, I got to, sweeten the deal a little bit. Major leaguer right now, who's pretty good. A prospect coming up that'll eventually take his place when Brandon Nimmo leaves, and then a pitcher to throw in there because the Pittsburgh needs everything they can get. But that's where I had Brian Reynolds going, and he fills the need for the Mets. He's a good bat in the lineup, and I feel like he would do really well in the outfield.
As much as it tears my heartstrings, that is a good trade. I just can't mentally fathom the idea of the Mets letting Brandon Nimmo walk. As much as Scott Boras wants to say otherwise, I can't see it, But
all right, before I even get to my thing, you wouldn't let Nimmo walk if you knew you get 3 years of playoff runs. No, you get. I'm so sorry. You get 4 playoff runs of Brian Reynolds.
That's what I'm saying. That's a solid plan, and at the end of the day, I'll take the controllability, the low cash value with the people we have to sign, and just a constant the borderline. I guess he's now borderline all-star player in Brian Reynolds. To add with that, so I agree. It's just mentally, it's hard to process.
Yeah, that's why I had to throw like the Brandon Nimmo also to clear space so Brian Reynolds can get some playing time.
Exactly.
So I will say, you guys, I'm going to call bull here, but what I'm going to call bull on is you guys went a different way with this. Julian, you threw a player to be named later. Brandon had cash considerations. You guys are playing too hard into the my GM mode.
Hey, you gotta play to win, baby.
Because I went straight up players for players kind of deal here. All right. I needed names. I needed to know who they are. With that much team control left, I'm going to tip my hand here and say this is the only interdivision trade that I have.
Okay, we're ready to hear it.
So I have the Pittsburgh Pirates trading Brian Reynolds in division to the Milwaukee Brewers for numbers 1, 2, and 3. A trio of young outfield prospects, not major league ready. Sal Frelick, I guess, at number 2 would be the closest. But I have Jackson Churio, Sal Frelick, Joey Weimer, all going back to Pittsburgh. them having this thought process that this is our future outfield behind O'Neal Cruz and Brian Hayes. Give it a year or two before they're able to sort of crack into the major leagues. These are three guys who the Brewers value heavily, but we know the Brewers aren't going to go out and pay someone. So this is where they have to take their shot. For me, this is the one, the Brewers are a year away from giving up on Josh Hader as the back end guy. The Christian Yelich thing started off hot, has since slowed. If you have some semblance of a window, if you're Milwaukee, it's closing right now. And for me, this was the take the shot if you're ever going to trade just for Brian Reynolds. And
I will say all three of us had really good options for a player that is on the border of possibly getting traded or not. I truly think this is it.
I wouldn't be mad at any of these trades.
For sure.
Like I can 100%.
I really did like Reynolds.
Yeah. Figured.
I wonder why.
Man, oh man, was that my favorite.
Oh, that's a double.
Yeah, it's a double. Double by Eduardo Escobar, baby. Start the bottom of the ninth. Let's go. Come on.
Yeah, you guys look a lot alike. It's really screwed me. It's the facial hair.
You're not the first person to tell me that. So
it's really the facial hair.
No, that's really funny. I never pieced it together till right now.
Yeah, right. You can't. It's insane.
We can get him as a special guest on the show, and we'll do a 23andMe test.
Wow. Okay. Wait a minute. So I'm up next. My pick here is Andrew Benintendi of the Kansas City Royals, the next great outfielder here on this list. I'm be honest, Brandon, you're really going to not like this. I have him coming to Truist Park behind me, so this sort of fit, and playing for the Atlanta Braves. They need outfield help. We've talked about it a ton on this podcast about how Ronald Acuna Jr. is floundering out there. He's going to get hurt playing center field. Lucky enough, they have Mike Harris playing there now, but they still need one more guy in that outfield. They're one guy away. They really, unfortunately, let the trio of guys who helped them last year, they let the wrong one walk in Jock Peterson. So now I look at it and I go, okay, where can you sort of have that magic again? How about a guy who's hitting 300 plus, crazy on base percentage? You know he's going to be a bat, a decent glove. Andrew Benintendi goes to Atlanta for number 3 prospect Braden Shoemake and number 7 prospect left-handed pitcher Jared Schuster. Shoemake is a shortstop. Goes back to the Kansas City Royals. They can try to transition him to their second or third, depending on what they see more fit there. Schuster, long-term project as a left-handed pitcher, could be a starter, could be a reliever. Thoughts, gentlemen?
Brandon, you can go first.
Sorry, I'll call ball. As much as I hate to say this, in terms of people that it's a good, I was gonna say San Diego initially, but then I don't know where Tatis is gonna play when he comes back. I don't think he's gonna play shortstop. I think he's gonna be the outfielder. So that's gonna fix a hole that they have, or a possible hole that they have in 4th outfielder scenario. So I will call ball. Atlanta needs to figure it out defensively. Offensively, it's there. We all know that. Although I think I'm not going to say it's a fluke year. I think he's overachieving in the situation he's in, and I think second half it won't be as hot as he's been so far, especially with a new ballpark that I don't think he's ever played in, like regularly. But I will call ball to your scenario.
I call bull. I got actually the Yankees being very high up on Benintendi. I have them sending Joey Gallo and number 10 overall prospect Everson Vieira and cash consideration so the Royals can buy out Joey Gallo. And it's for the same thing we've been saying. The Yankees need that left fielder that can actually hit and not strike out every time he's up to bat.
Yeah. Every other time. Or everything.
That's fair. I'm gonna be honest, man. You guys are really more high up on Joey Gallo than I could not come up with a situation where I'm able to trade the man. And I'm the Yankee fan. I couldn't.
I feel like if you are to trade Joey Gallo, you have to pair the cash with him, just so they can buy them out.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it almost
especially for a team like the Royals who are tanking, they might actually find some value in him because
he's only there through the end of the year, so I guess it's almost a net zero kind of thing. If he just shows up on a losing team, continues to be Joey Gallo,
and just cash.
Yeah, like he's not. It's not really hurting, but it's also not helping. I guess. All right. I like that.
All right. Who do I got next?
All right, we're on to our first infielder now. Julian, you have from the Colorado Rockies, Jose Iglesias.
Okay, so I have the Chicago White Sox are going to be very, very aggressive in this trade deadline because they are on the cusp of the Twins and also on the cusp of a wild card. I feel like they definitely need some second base help. Josh Harrison isn't really doing it. That clap means something a lot more than just him going.
Do you have the jersey ready?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Sorry, Joey.
You're good. You deserve it, man. And that's what you signed Starling Marte for, man.
Vacation
like that.
To official business. Let's go.
All right. So I have the White Sox sending number 6 overall prospect Rami Gonzalez, as well as Josh Harrison over to the Rockies and a player to be named later as well in order for the White Sox to get that bat that they need and hopefully to give them some energy in the locker room, get them to that, okay, time to get to business. Tony La Russa, step to the side. We're going to do our thing on the field and we're going to hit some fucking baseballs.
So wait, you have Iglesias playing second or Tim Anderson standing?
I have Iglesias playing second.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's an interesting one. I'm going to start here with saying my one caveat of the Subway Series is that in celebration, Brandon missed a button on his jersey and is trying to hide it from the camera. Yeah, no. We watched you button. We know those don't lie.
That's probably the greatest thing that happened. I'm glad we all are live or recording during.
And I'm really happy this happened because that's my one win for this 2-game set here. Is that Brandon didn't correctly button his jersey. And I
gotta take them where you can get them, I guess. But for now,
small victories.
Official business.
There you go.
I'm really happy he prepared that to the side.
Aside from that, I'm going to call bull here. I have a team who desperately needs a shortstop, probably more desperate than any contender out there in the St. Louis Cardinals. Really needs a guy who can come in and fill that hole. Tommy Edman is phenomenal, but you want Tommy Edman to have the positional flexibility, not have to play a full-time short. You want him when Gorman and what's the other young kid I'm blanking on? The other second baseman that the Cardinals have at the moment. When the two of them are unable to sort of hit at the level that they're hitting currently, you want Tommy Edman to slot back in there. You want out in the outfield, they've had some injury issues all season long. You want him to be able to slot back out there. You don't want him locked into shortstop on a necessity basis. So I have the St. Louis Cardinals getting Jose Iglesias for Edwin Nunez and Juan Soto, who is their 22nd and 26th prospects overall. Again, Jose Iglesias is on a now 6-month rental essentially, and you're not going to get like insane value, but you get what you get. Don't get upset anywhere you're sort of selling them off to. Brandon, what do you think?
I'm also going to call bull. It's a great trade idea, Julian. I just have him going actually to a team who I previously mentioned doesn't know where their star player is going to play, so might as well sit there and save until the playoffs. I
like that lineup.
I have Jose Iglesias going to the San Diego Padres. Will solidify at least to the playoffs. Tatis going to play in the outfield, or if not DH, probably outfield because it's a wrist injury. And if they had more control, they would probably trade for 3 prospects, only because it's a half-year rental. I can only see them trading for 2. Corey Howell, their number 12 prospect. I'm a guy that loves positional flexibility. He's an outfielder. He's a shortstop. He's a third baseman. Probably could play a little second base. The key in all of this is shortstop, I guess, because you're building that farm system up there. And who doesn't need pitching? Their number 15 prospect, Jarlene Suswana, a right-handed pitcher. I think that'll be enough to kind of differentiate and separate the two. I think that it would solidify the Padres. The Padres are in the thick of it, whether we like to admit it or not. They're creeping up on the Dodgers. And I think this deal will get it done to kind of make sure they at least give the Dodgers a run for their money for that top spot in the division.
I like the idea of the Rockies and the Padres just shaking hands in order to screw over the Dodgers.
Yeah.
That's
weird,
something I'm kind
right?
of about.
That was actually my favorite part of that.
It's kind of beautiful.
Man, I really like that. Brandon, you're getting a very specific type of player here. We're getting another Pittsburgh Pirate and another guy who is not a guarantee to get traded in relief pitcher, closing pitcher, David Bednar.
Oh, that's actually a good one.
Perhaps, and while you get your thoughts in order, perhaps one of the highest value adds here with closing experience, back end of the bullpen stuff, essentially 3 playoff runs to go, 4 playoff runs to go, because you're getting him for this year and then 3 additional. What are your thoughts here?
Okay, I have a good one.
Ooh, I like it. I'm excited.
I'm waiting.
I have a 3-team trade.
Oh, our first one. I like it.
Wow.
Have David Bednar going to the Minnesota Twins, who really need relief pitching help. I think
Okay.
is subpar. I think every other avenue can suffice to them at least bounce into the playoffs. And once you get into the playoffs, anything can happen at the end of the day. But I have them going there. I have the Twins sending both Chris Archer and Max Kepler to the New York Mets to help fill those voids of a pitcher and a decent bat. And then a DH bat at the end of the day, possibly play some outfield. And I'll repeat a name that's been said before, although I didn't say it. I have Vientos going back to the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Interesting. I like that. That's okay.
It's very interesting. I'm gonna call ball. I also had the Twins being aggressive on Bednar. I had them sending their 3rd and 8th overall pick. My notes disappeared on me. But I figured for the same reason, he has 4 years controllable. He's having a phenomenal season. He's still young. You give up what you can to get that closer, and the Twins desperately need a closer.
I'm going to go, I like the logic. I'm going to call bull because I'm going with a different young contending team desperate to gain some traction in the Toronto Blue Jays.
That's a good team. Going
straight up, number 3 and 4 prospects in their system. Ricky Tideman, a phenomenal left-handed pitcher, one of the better sliders you're going to see out there at the moment. Jordan Groshans is their number 4. Shortstop, third base, slot him in where you want him. With the Pirates in particular, you look to potentially either have him working after a Brian Hayes deal, if you will, or potentially move over to second base. But I think there's real potential there for David Bednar to go into the Toronto and lock down a closer role that has not been locked down since a very young Roberto Ozuna in their last sort of playoff run. Bednar has enough team control and now enough closing experience where you feel confident. He's had some, I won't say big games, but sort of key moments. Hasn't really gotten rattled. He's not a guy who's going to jump off the page at you, but is definitely going to do his part to, sort of lock things down and be a consistent force out there. I think that's exactly what the Blue Jays need from a bullpen. It's not like we're expecting big things out of them, but they've definitely not delivered. So that was my guy there. All right. So the next, first starter off the board to me, it is Frankie Montas.
Oh, okay.
And I'm going to just tell you right now, I have Frankie Montas being traded not alone. I have a team who is desperately seeking an ace, is in playoff contention, and also is looking for a catcher to fill a void and also be their catcher of the future in the St. Louis Cardinals. St. Louis Cardinals trading for Frankie Montas and Sean Murphy. They're looking for the guy after Yadier Molina, who's currently hurt anyway. They're trying to stave off the Brewers in that division. So the two of them go to St. Louis in exchange for, break out your notepads here, gentlemen. We have the number 2, Matthew Libertore, who just made his major league debut. Strong all left-handed pitcher, long-term ace potential. Mason Wynn, shortstop, the guy who just threw 100 miles an hour short to first base during the right before the All-Star break. Gordon Gracefo, I don't know how to say his name. I'm so sorry, sir. Right-handed pitcher is the number 5 overall prospect and number 8 overall prospect, Alec Burleson in the outfield. It's going to take a hell of a package to pull this off. But the St. Louis Cardinals have the depth, have the pieces. People are expecting to go people are expecting for them to go elsewhere with this. But I think they address 2 sort of long-term fits in one. They get a starter, they get a catcher. Yadi, when he comes back, can again catch a handful of games while simultaneously playing more of a, behind-the-scenes coaching role that I think we're all sort of expecting him to sort of ease into anyway. So that was mine there. Brandon, thoughts?
I do like the trade. I do. I think you hit the nail on the head with the catcher aspect, which is what attracted me to the trade. You got to fill that position. That's a very hard position to fill. I am going to call bull. I'm going to have instead Frankie Montas going by himself to the Brewers, just because their starting pitching rotation, they need some depth. Freddie Peralta, God knows what's happening to him. And just the top end is really top heavy. So just having some stability there, especially while they're for the moment leading the division, you need that. And I have them just going for mediocre prospects. I have Logan Henderson, a relief pitcher, and I have Carlos Rodriguez, both their 18th and their 21st prospect. Carlos Rodriguez being an outfield prospect. We'll get it done. Something low end. They know it's a 1-year rental. Montas is not staying there after the second half of the season, so I think that'll get it done.
Dude, I'm so sorry. You have the top 2 teams in the division trading an ace, or wait, no, I'm sorry. I tweaked there. You have him A's I had him to the Cardinals. That just.
Yeah, no.
He's already a Cardinal.
He was already a Cardinal in my thing. I was like, wait, what's going on here? I was like.
As you would say, press pause on my GM. We're talking about.
He was already a Cardinal in my head, man. I feel like the uniform looks so good on him too. Anyway, go ahead, Julian.
So you actually kind of changed my mind. Originally, I had the Dodgers trading for Montas, but I do like your trade a lot more. Originally, I did have the Dodgers kind of overselling because I feel like they can try to convince him to sign for more years. So then they trade number 6 and number 7 overall right-handed pitching prospects, Ryan Pepois and
I think he made
Landon.
his major league debut, actually.
Yeah, so I have them trading those two, and just so the Dodgers, because especially with Buehler still being out for a little while, they're definitely in the market for starting pitching. I just like your trade a lot more because it's more fun for baseball than the Dodgers just getting another trade.
It's a really good trade. I do like it.
You know they're gonna get one.
They're gonna get one. I just
Yeah.
hope it's not be one.
Don't we all? Anyway, next one. Julian, you are up and you are getting a relief pitcher. You're getting Michael Fulmer of the Detroit Tigers, a former Rookie of the Year. Well, you get your thoughts together. The guy who beat out Gary Sanchez for Rookie of the Year back in 2016, for folks at home.
I do
So
remember
just
that.
fun fact. All right, Julian, go ahead.
So I have the Astros wanting to secure their bullpen. I have them trading number 6 overall Peter Solomon, right-handing pitcher, and outfielder Colin Barber, because I think there's maybe 1 or 2 years of control with Fulmer. So you're gonna have to give up a little bit more. And I feel like the Astros, they're just trying to get as many World Series as they can, but without sacrificing too much, especially if he's controllable, you're gonna have to end up paying.
Okay. I'm just going to start out right there and I'm going to call ball because in terms of a team who's trying to secure a bullpen, it was Yankees and Astros for me right now. And I really, really thought the Astros were a better fit for Fulmer. So I'm right there with you. I thought the Tigers might take a slightly different approach in sort of what they take back. I have Tyler Whitaker and Alex McKenna, number 10 and number 20. Going back to the Tigers, they're a pair of outfield prospects that, might pair well with Riley Green down the road. But I really like what you have there. Brandon, what are your thoughts?
I call bull on the fact that he has 2 years left on his contract. This is his contract year. But I call ball on your prediction. I think that's
Okay.
good.
I thought I read somewhere that he had 2 years of control, but
Yeah,
like,
no,
two playoff runs. But
that's what I was just looking up. I think he's
Yeah.
not a free agent, but God knows where he'll go. But I call ball. It's a really good idea. And the Astros are one of the top contenders who have figured it out for the easily for the next few years. We underrated them coming into the season, but they clearly know what they're doing. So a little relief bullpen help won't help, right? Won't hurt. Sorry.
All right, I like that. And up next, by the way, that is the first time we've all agreed on a destination. So that's something. That's something to behold there. I like that.
Let's go.
Go us. Let's not do all that. Speaking of you pumping that jersey out there, this is a name I was hoping one of the two of you would get.
Okay.
It's Noah Syndergaard. Trade for me, Noah Syndergaard, somewhere. Brandon.
Remind me who Noah Syndergaard is, because I don't know who he is. The season, the name doesn't ring a bell at all. It's
Nothing?
I don't know who he is. What are you doing? Okay. Noah Syndergaard. What do we say about him? Honestly, because I don't like Noah Syndergaard, strictly because of what he says, not because of his actions. All right, taking a step back, I respect the solid season he's put together. He was a guy who was left for dead. Not the Mets organization didn't think he was going to be as horrible. They gave him a qualifying offer. He betted himself. I'm not going to say he's excelling on his bet, but he's proving that he's still a worthy back end number 3, number 4 pitcher. Start at the starting rotation. That being said, I have him going to Seattle Mariners. I have the Seattle Mariners trading for him. They're figuring it out. I don't know if they're still on that win streak. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I do know if not, they recently came off of it. I think they're making a strong push, and it's very interesting that they're such a young team, but a guy that's so outspoken, such a dominant presence in the locker room, in the clubhouse. I think he will help continue to right the ship and keep it going. That being said, I see them trading a couple low-end prospects, nothing above the 15th prospect. I'm not even going to go into looking at what names would be, just because he's not staying there. It's going to be a rental. Noah Syndergaard's a big city guy. I could see him going back to Cali next year, or I could see him coming to New York and actually going to the Yankees, truth be told, to try and stick it to the Mets. But we'll say maybe a number 16 prospect and a number 22.
Okay. I like that. I like that. I want a different route, and I really don't like my route.
They ball.
What's your route?
I'm calling bull. I'm calling extra bull because I have him going to the Boston Red Sox.
I can see that.
I could definitely see.
I have the Boston Red Sox not feeling like they're totally out of it. I think just like the Boston Red Sox, I'm in between on where they stand, and in the event that they feel like they're buyers and not sellers, I have the Boston Red Sox investing in the obvious starting pitcher who has big game, potential, ace potential, can literally walk into that rotation tomorrow and be the top guy because Chris Sale's been hurt for years. Nathan Eovaldi struggled in his bounce back outing against the Blue Jays a lot. So, I mean, it just makes too much sense. They have to give up a trio of prospects in 11, 17, and 25 overall. Left-handed pitcher Jake Groom, Gilberto Jimenez, who's an outfield prospect that I'm really high on as a switch hitter, and Christian Cross is a shortstop. But they have to give up a good amount to get Noah Syndergaard essentially only for half the season at this point. But in an American League East that always felt like it was going to be AL East, or American League that was always felt like it was going to be AL East dominated going into the playoffs. I feel like you losing the high ground to the Orioles is a problem. You not being in playoff contention is a bigger problem. So they go out and get the obvious fit here.
I am going to call bull solely on the fact that I don't think that the Angels want to do any type of business with Jerry Dipoto based on past.
That also, no, I'd let me second that.
But I want to call ball. I don't think we'll get more than a 15th overall prospect for him because it is just a half a year rental, maybe a playoff push, depending on the team that he goes to. Like if he were to go to the Red Sox, I don't see that big of a package coming in return. I'd be happy if it was that big of a package, but I don't see that happening.
See, my thing though is with that, it's more of a, all right, you have your clear top two as starting pitchers, right? You're talking about a league that's always default. Somehow everyone always needs starting pitching. You gotta have a great five, and somehow you still need pitching. And this is your, you have your top two, but this is your clear cut three. I mean, it's too many. This is where I get into like there's too many teams that need it. It's just the market, not for nothing, is going to dictate this at that point for me.
You can never have starting pitching.
I could see a team like the Rays being in play.
Oh, for sure. Like it's going to be that's the thing though, is it comes down to which contender just wants it bad enough, and then it becomes a bidding war.
Honestly, I could even see him going back to the Blue Jays. He started there. I could see the real value that he's turned and going right back there.
Love the whole AL East vibe there. But I mean, the Mariners are an interesting one. I can never do I really struggle with it.
It's going to take a big package to be in the trades, and that's how my philosophy is. And I just
for sure
pure pettiness, to be honest.
Oh, that's fair. We get it. We get it, man. All right. So next up is me, and I have former Yankee, but no one remembers him being a Yankee. Brandon Drury of the Cincinnati Reds was a Yankee for all of a week. So okay. I'm going to the Los Angeles Dodgers. They're big on depth. Generally speaking, they do not have it this year, though. They're the National League's best team, and it feels almost like a shell of the Dodgers. I feel like with Brandon Drury coming in, he can play for you first, second, third, left, and right. So left is a big hole for the Dodgers. Second base has been iffy. First base, he can spell Freddie Freeman over at third, get Justin Turner out of there, get Eddie Rios some rest. I think he does so much defensively in terms of where you can plug and play. On top of it, he's having a tremendous year offensively. And now you're asking him to essentially show up in a lineup and be your eighth best hitter. It's an easy one there. I don't think it takes a whole lot. I have 10 and 11 in terms of prospects. Wilman Diaz and Andre Jackson going back to the Reds. Both of them a pair of guys who would theoretically be sort of, big league ready, or at least, by next season kind of guys. Give the Reds something to show their fans, hey, we're trying going on there. I have him going with someone else, but I just sort of cut the deal in half because I didn't want to sell too hard. But it's just something there. Cool. All right. So moving on there, we're going to go now to Julian.
Wait, we want to do
Oh, wait, no, wait. Yeah, no. I just thought you guys were agreeing with me. You guys were nodding.
No, I'm nodding. I'm nodding ball. I'll give it to you. I'm nodding ball. I think Max Muncy is not doing it as a utility guy. Brandon Drury is not. I will call ball on the height of the prospects. I don't think it'll take like top prospects. I think it'll take like a mid tier. Like I'm seeing like a James Outman, their number 17, and maybe like an Alex De Jesus, who's like a high A guy, their number 20 prospect. But I like the idea. Max Muncy's not doing it this year, so we need a guy who's having a solid year to replace him and have more utility.
I'm
gonna call bull solely because I think.
I'm so sorry. So we have to stop.
I was
there.
I was debating if to bring it up or not.
Yeah, no, we have to stop right there. It was my guy originally, and I was wrong. But shouts out to Brandon Burrito, I believe, who called Andrew Benintendi to the New York. Oh, no, that was you, Julian?
Yeah, that was me.
Julian had Andrew Benintendi to the New York Yankees. 3 prospects going to the Kansas City Royals. So midway through this, one of us is already wrong.
And one of us is already right.
One of us is already right. I respect it.
Man,
oh boy.
That's perfect timing.
That is absolutely perfect timing.
Don't you just love when news breaks on our show?
It's great. The Mets just swept the Yankees, so they figured, shit, we need to get better. So that makes sense. I understand that.
Wow. Well, that means something else. Talk about later. But anyway.
Anyways, back to Brandon Drury. I have the Giants trying to upset the Dodgers, and they're going to pay a little bit more in order to get him just so that the Dodgers don't. I have them trading Wilmer Flores and then number 10 overall prospect, Iverson Arteaga. Solely, I have them giving up that prospect just so they can try to outbid the Dodgers in order to compete for them.
Okay, I like that.
Before we move on, that's a good pick, by the way. Thoughts on whether Benintendi gets vaccinated or
not? I'm going to be honest here. This is a weird sort of thing to say.
We're not political on this show.
I am let me be very real. I'm pro-vaccine.
So are we.
I think there's no need to rock the boat, considering the fact that the Mariners made a surge and the Red Sox / Orioles are not terribly far behind the Blue Jays. Like, is it really the craziest thing to say, hey, if the Blue Jays are really still in it in September, are you going to take a couple days and get vaccinated and go put a gun to your head? Like, 3 minor leaguers, I haven't seen the names yet, but I mean, Worst case scenario, we just won 60 plus games in the first half with Joey Gallo. I suppose we can continue to. You know, just a thought there. But I mean, we'll keep it pushing there.
I'm trying to find I'm going through Jeff Pessan's tweets.
It hasn't been released yet who the people are.
Yeah, and it's just the comments are just a bunch of Mets fans trolling. So there's not much information going around right now.
You know what's the weird part? If this was like 2 weeks ago, or even a week ago, honestly, like a week and a half, pre-Juan Soto thing going down, this is maybe the best left-handed, not even maybe, this is definitively the best left-handed bat you could get.
Not even that. He's the best outfield. He was the best outfield.
Yeah, he's the best outfield outside of Soto.
Yeah.
And that's when I was making my list, I had Benintendi going to the Yankees solely if they're just out on Soto.
Yeah, so it's a weird one
at this moment.
If you tell me this 2 weeks ago, I am jumping for joy like, yo, we did something.
Yeah.
Now I'm kind of like, oh man, that means we're really out on Soto, huh?
Yeah, I was gonna say the Yankees are officially out on Soto now. That's
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Hey, shit happens, man. Shit happens. Brandon, did you have a different spot for Brandon Drury?
No, I think I called ball with you.
Okay.
Okay. I like it. All right. So Julian, you're up next, and your guy's going to be another outfielder. You're going to go Ian Happ of the Chicago Cubs.
Okay.
Where do you have him going?
I have Ian Happ going to the Atlanta Braves. I figured the Braves are going to be high up on outfielders again this year. So I had what did I have? My notes are all over the place. So I have outfielder prospect number 8, Jesse Franklin, going over there, as well as number 16, Diego Benitez. Small little prospect, not a lot of control because Ian Happ is a free agent after the season. But I just figured they need to do what they can to try to catch up to the Mets. So I have them being a little aggressive with Ian Happ.
I like that. I like that a lot. It's the reason I had Benintendi going there. Originally, I'm going to be honest, I had Ian Happ. I'm calling bull. I had Ian Happ to the Braves, but I'm calling bull now. Because then I thought about it, and Benintendi just got traded to the Yankees, so maybe I'm wrong. But I actually had Ian Happ going to the Toronto Blue Jays.
Interesting.
That's interesting. Okay.
I have Ian Happ to the Toronto Blue Jays. Lourdes Gurriel has struggled mightily this season.
Yeah.
I think it has almost unfortunately been a downward spiral for him ever since he lost the shortstop job through no fault of his own to Bo Bichette. It has almost felt like writing on the wall since before he could even, get his footing in Major League Baseball. He had a couple good offensive seasons. He needs a fresh start. He's going to Chicago with a year and a half of team control left, along with the second prospect in their system, Orelvis Martinez. It's not for nothing. Gurriel has done enough damage to his name where it sort of warrants it. You got to take him. Yeah. Gurriel can have a bounce back. Happ can go to Toronto, realize that he loves it there, play winning baseball for the first time since he was like a baby. And he'll want to resign. Martinez goes there, goes to Chicago, gets to really just live it up. Or Toronto, I should. So Martinez gets to go to Chicago, gets to live it up as like their essentially top prospect almost off rip. And Gurriel gets a fresh start. So that was my thing there. Where do you have Ian Happ, Brandon?
I had Ian Happ going into the Yankees before all this. So I'm gonna call ball with Julian just because I didn't have enough time to do research and figure out a second team. I'm gonna give you the good graces there.
Listen, that was me with Syndergaard. So you're good.
Man, oh man, that changed quick, didn't it? Brandon, you're up next, and you have an interesting one here in Josh Bell of the Washington Nationals.
That is pretty interesting. That's very interesting. So, my gut is telling me he should go to the Mets, but I don't think he will go there. I think we can solidify this team even more. I have him actually going to the San Diego Padres as well, with Manny Machado holding the brunt of it all. He's been literally killing it, top of the MVP race this year, easily. We don't know what we're going to get with Fernando Tatis, and I keep mentioning the Padres because you don't know what you're going to get at the end of the day with Chris. He just started swinging a couple of days ago officially. So he's going to be the guy that'll be a DH. Worst case scenario, may platoon at first. And I just have a couple of mid-tier prospects going. Hold on, I'll tell you the names right now. I'll give them a top 10 and a number 12. So I will send back Josh Mears, an outfielder. Joshua Mears, sorry, high A prospect, but number 8 overall. And I have Kevin Kopps, a relief pitcher, the number 13 prospect. I think that'll get it done.
Okay. I feel like I'm calling bull on two fronts here. Bull on one, this is the, for a number of teams who are contending that need a power bat and need a first baseman, the price gets driven up here for me. Not for nothing. Like it's going to take now something kind of, it's, for lack of a better word, it's going to take a sexy package coming back. You need something coming back now for Josh Bell, especially considering, everything that's going on with the Soto thing. And we'll get into that shortly here. But I actually have him also. The other reason I'm calling bull is I have him going to the Houston Astros.
Okay.
Who have lost total faith in Ulieski Gurriel. Different Gurriel there, who's underperforming. And going back to the Washington Nationals, I have the number 4 and number 5 prospects in the Astros system. Forrest Whitley and Colin Barber, a right-handed pitcher who's major league ready, already made his major league debut last year. Is trying to sort of invent that curveball. Colin Barber is an outfielder, maybe 2 years away. I think it's going to take something you don't, for reasons we'll get into, you don't know what's happening with the Soto thing. So for me, Josh Bell was your best chance to get something here.
True. But my only thing is I just don't see a team turning around and trading top prospects for a rental. That's the sticking point for me because he wouldn't stay.
I agree with that on the rental thing, but it's also
it's going to turn into a bidding war.
Yeah.
It turns into a bidding war, and you have too many teams who are and not for nothing, in Major League Baseball this year, I don't believe, all right, if your 2 top teams this year are the Yankees and Dodgers, like record-wise, not for nothing, these Yankees and Dodgers are not the, what's the word, unbeatable. Like, it feels like the World Series is wide open to 20.
Yeah, especially with the expanded playoffs. I agree with that.
So I feel like it has to feel attainable to enough teams where bidding wars really take hold here. Like, I'm almost curious now with the Benintendi trade that just went through, what was the package that got declined for that? Kind of thing. Like, who else was in the bidding and just felt like they were getting outpaced by the Yankees and thought they could go elsewhere now. But so we have Julian, go ahead. Who do you have here?
Real quick, I had Josh Bell going to the Brewers, so I'm also going to call bull. I like the little switcheroo between DH and first base between Rowdy Tellez and Josh Bell. I feel like that adds that extra pop that the Brewers need. I had them sending number 6 prospect overall, Jefferson Guero, and number 17 prospect overall, first baseman Xavier Warren to the Nationals. I don't know if that package will get it done, but it's a pretty sizable package for a rental that the Brewers would just throw out because they're not going to sell their farm for a rental. But nice little fun thing to see.
Before we get into it, so the Royals get the number 19 prospect in Sikema, the left-handed pitcher. They get the number 21st prospect in Beckway, a right-handed pitcher, and they get the number 30 prospect in Chaplin, another right-handed pitcher. So they just get pitching.
Okay, so that's just setting up. Is that setting up the market for everybody else? If they're only getting no one in above top 15,
yeah,
is that really setting the bar for everybody else? I think we're selling too high.
I think we should be GMs.
I'm
I don't
almost.
think we should.
Is it weird that makes me overly optimistic as a Yankee fan, though?
No, I can completely understand.
No.
You're giving up
I'm
bottom
so
tier.
sorry.
mid-tier
All three guys
prospects.
were below top 15.
Yeah, no,
Like
you
Beck-
have every right
Beckway-
to feel optimistic.
Beckway was a name I knew as a Yankee fan who theoretically, even now with our like sort of condensed bullpen, an arm who could come up theoretically this year and be a contributing factor. But still, I'm looking at this now and saying our top 10 was valued enough that, it couldn't be touched in a Benintendi. Our top 15 couldn't be touched in a Benintendi. I feel pretty okay.
Truthfully,
Yeah.
I would love to see what these other offers were because this is embarrassing. That's what you gave them away for.
Yeah, I was going to say, wait, what did I have? I had a number 3 and a number 7 coming out.
I had Joey Gallo in a number 10 for Benintendi.
Yeah.
And cash consideration. So
And cash. Yeah. I don't think, at the beginning of this, I started to feel a little okay with like, maybe I can be a GM. I don't think I can anymore.
I don't think so. I think I would be fired on the spot.
All right, we're gonna find out with this next one because this is almost a surefire trade. So Julian, you can start getting ready because of the last 2 potential options of what we had left. We had a DH and then the best pitcher on the market, and I just drew the DH. So I have Nelson Cruz of the Washington Nationals, a surefire trade. A team who has been mentioned a lot by Brandon specifically. I have him going to the San Diego Padres. The team I thought he should have signed with preseason now gets him at the trade deadline. They're in need of offense. Manny Machado, like you said too many times today, has been hoisting them above his head and saying, "Come with me to the promised land." They need offense. Nelson Cruz is not what Nelson Cruz used to be, but he's still surprisingly good for a guy who's like 40-something. So I have a pair of prospects. It's number 29 and 30. So is it really? It's Castillo Ruiz, who just made his major league debut. All legs, real like a defensive speed heavy prospect in the outfield, and Noel Vela going back is a left-handed pitcher who just hit Double-A, if I'm not mistaken, for the Padres, is now going back to Washington. Not the prospect haul they're looking for, but again, I have them getting that somewhere else.
I'm gonna call it ball. That's actually the exact same package I had.
Okay.
Nice. I feel good.
Good one. We got one.
Yeah, we got one exact package.
There we go. We said we weren't GMs. Look at us. All right. Well, I'm calling bull. I have him going to the Rays. So
Ooh, back to the Rays a second year in a row.
going back to the Rays. Worked out last year. Have him going back. Have him given like a number 16. JJ Goss, low A relief pitcher, just because he was just there. And I have him giving a number 10 in Sandy Gaston, a right-handed pitcher, also in A. But they're number 10 prospect, and then they'd sweeten the deal.
Man, you know what sucks? That feels like such a Rays move that I
It
believe.
does seem like a very Rays move. I could see it happening.
Like, I don't like how much that is a Rays move to trade for the same guy 2 years in a
2
row
years in
and
a row.
have it make the difference.
Yeah.
2 years in a row.
I wouldn't be surprised. Be like, all right, just shake off the rust for him. We'll take him back in like July, August.
All right. So
All
Julian,
right.
we don't
So
even have
I
to press the
have-
clicker. You have Luis Castillo of the Cincinnati Reds, the best foregone conclusion of a trade candidate here. Where's he going, Julian?
All right. Well, now I feel a little bit better about this trade now about this Benintendi got back. I have him going to the Yankees, and I have the Yankees selling some decent prospects because Castillo does have until I think 2024 he's a free agent.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
He does have a little bit of
half.
control. So I have left-handed pitcher Ken Waladuk, the number 5 overall pick. I have Luis Gill going over there, as well as Alexander Vargas, the 16th overall pick.
Okay.
The Yankees desperately need that second, or at least another arm in that rotation. They need to get Herman out of there because even though he pitched pretty well today, he's not it.
I call bull on that just because I don't want him going to the Yankees because you guys just got Benintendi. But in all seriousness, I didn't have him going to the Yankees. I actually had him going to the White Sox.
I like it.
That being said, Giolito has not been. This year has been a very weird year for Giolito.
So sad.
It's really sad.
Yeah.
But so I see them getting another guy like you just mentioned. He has a lot of some control for a few years, so they're going to go all out. I have them trading away the younger Cespedes in Yoelqui Cespedes, the number 4 prospect, just to keep the fans in the stands. I have them getting Brian Ramos, the number 8 prospect, and I have them getting Matthew Thompson, the number 10 prospect in relief pitcher. Brian Ramos plays third base and second base. You cover all different variations of the field, get 3 top 10 prospects, and in return, you give away a pitcher that can be the baseline of a starting rotation moving forward when their coach is fired.
I like that. I
Jeez.
very I'm gonna be honest. I have been going to God, I hate this. I hate this so much. Because I really want to say the Yankees. Like, I do. I really want to say that. But he's gonna be a Los Angeles Dodger. It's unfortunate, but the Dodgers, I'm looking at their farm system right now. It is so freaking deep.
Yeah.
And every year it just gets deeper, and it's almost astounding. They gave up their top, 3 prospects last year? 2 prospects, and a couple later guys for both Max Scherzer and Trey Turner. And already, their farm system is always number 1 overall. It doesn't matter what anyone says. It's stupid. So going back to the Cincinnati Reds, I have number 5 overall, Miguel Vargas. I have number 7, Landon Knack, who's a right-handed pitcher. Eddie's Leonard, who's number 8 overall as a corner infielder, and number 9 overall, Jorbit Vivas, going back. I think it's a bidding war. The Reds desperately need it. And I don't want to tip my hand too much here, but they're going to need it extra. I'm sorry. Let me be more specific here. The Reds need prospects. The Dodgers are going to need pitching because of what comes next. And yeah. God, I hate what's coming next, man. I
feel like the Yankees, and this trade for Benintendi just recontextualizes everything. If that's what they got back, I feel like they have to have. They're in a race for somebody else.
It's so annoying though because you sit there and kudos to the Yankees because you guys still got away with a steal, but at the same time it's kind of why does that always happen? Like Yankees give
But
low level prospects.
You know
but
what?
Red-
I'm so sorry. The Benintendi thing specifically, you know what it feels like? I hate to say it.
what?
It means the Yankees were one of very few teams not obsessed with Soto and instead decided, hey, so everyone else is trying to pitch to the Nationals right now. We're going to go pitch to Kansas City.
That's true.
That's why I feel
That's-
like they're going to be in the market for Luis Castillo or
I
Martin
get it.
Perez. Like
Or-
they're going to be in for a big name
Yeah.
pitcher.
All right.
Yeah.
So
I
speaking
don't
of,
know.
all right, we're going to move on here. We're going to go on to definitely not realistic or, even necessity trades here. Like these are guys who don't have to be traded by any means. We've talked about it a ton already. So let's start with Juan Soto. We're all going to give our best Juan Soto pitch. And, sort of talk this through. I tipped my hand too much already, so I will go ahead first. My Juan Soto, I have wavered on this a lot. But if Juan Soto is getting traded by this trade deadline, then it is different than the guy that it is very different than the team I long-term thought would be involved. My ultimate home would have been the Chicago Cubs. I talked about it endlessly, how I thought that was a fit. Because it's this trade deadline thing that we're doing here, it has to be the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Really don't want it. Don't want it, man.
I don't want it to be, but it is the Los Angeles Dodgers. They have a massive hole in left field. Juan Soto goes back to not his natural position, right field, but the position I think he objectively plays better in left. This is the real sickening part. The Dodgers also get their second $20 million starting pitcher now pitching out of the bullpen to join David Price in Patrick Corbin. And in exchange, we go Ryan Pepio, who was mentioned earlier. We go 1, 2, 3, and 4 out of the Dodgers here is Diego Cartaya, Bobby Miller, Michael Busch, and Andy Paez, who was also mentioned earlier, I believe. So we have a haul. We got a 6-player deal. I don't know if that's happened already today outside of the 3-team trade, but it's, for me, the Dodgers just unfortunately make too much sense. And not for nothing now. What is that order?
Yeah.
You go what? Betts, Soto, Turner, Freeman is probably the best 1-3-4 ever assembled. If Muncy bounces back as a DH, dude, at that point you're batting former MVP candidate Justin Turner 9. Like that's stupid.
I don't like this at all. I feel dirty.
Don't you?
It just, I don't like this.
Julian, who you got?
So I have the Mets just giving them a haul because I read when I was making this, I was reading through the thing, through a lot of articles, and I actually saw an article that said that the Nationals don't want to give up Patrick Corbin or want to lessen their value.
I saw that today.
With a Patrick Corbin or a contract like that. So I have the Mets overpaying a little bit because it is an interdivision trade. And I feel like in those, you do have to overpay. So I have them trading J.D. Davis, Dom Smith, and 5 top 10 overall prospects in this deal.
Okay.
Just so the Mets can get their guy, and then hopefully they sign him.
So here's my question with that specifically, Brandon, before we go to you. Do you have, so this is the one I really have struggled with the whole Juan Soto thing, with how well Keibert Ruiz has been for the Nationals as their catcher, a prospect they literally got last year. I struggled with how many.
Alvarez will be a part of the deal. I think other prospects would, though.
So here was my thing is even if so for me, I had the Dodgers trading Diego Cartaya, who's their top prospect as a catcher, going to the Nationals. Now, ultimately, what I assume the Nationals do then is almost flip him for different prospects and like further pad. Because you can almost take Cartaya and say, yo, Yankees, give me one of your shortstops and I'll give you a top 3 catching prospect in the game. I think that's almost fair at that point. And then I'm saying that as a Yankee fan who overvalues shortstop prospects because Jeter. So, that's a thing now for me. But I was curious if you included Alvarez there or not.
I did not, because of the same reason with him just getting, was it, I forget how much.
Keeper Ruiz.
Yeah, Keeper Ruiz the year before.
Getting vaccinated. He already said it.
Nice.
Wait, what was it?
Benintendi's getting vaccinated. He just came out and said it.
Yeah, that's called winning.
Brandon,
That's the difference between things and not.
what is your trade for Soto?
So I will say I agree. I saw the article you were talking about, Julian. And in the article they also mentioned that they weren't going to that like Batty and Alvarez are the 2 names off the table, no matter in terms of Soto deal. So I don't think that they will get traded. Truthfully, this is the unpopular opinion, but this is the way that I see the GM looking at it. We're going to have a new owner in a year or two. We could give a shit less about a guy who we just literally offered $440 million to and just spat in our face and said no, and had someone in his team leak this entire information. I saw an article about that today, how they're mad about that. So I could see them just straight up being like, you know what? We're going to send you to a team that has one of the top prospects, rob their farm system, and we know that you're not going to resign there. I have them going to the Baltimore Orioles. I have them going to the Baltimore Orioles. I have them stealing literally their number 1 through 4 and their number 7 prospects. Gunnar Henderson, Grayson Rodriguez, Jackson Holiday, who just got drafted and is considered, who was very much considered the number 1 overall pick, but didn't go. DL Hall, and then Kobe Mayo. I see that they're like, honestly, we want to get the last laugh. We're not going to have this team in a couple years anyway. So who cares? We immensely dropped dropped how much we have to pay, making it more like a team that's more worthwhile to buy for. And whoever owns the team next is success. Plus, it's a nice fuck you to Juan Soto because it's like, dude, come on.
Dude, is it weird? I love that for Washington.
I mean, it worked for Washington. And at the end of the day, it's not like the Orioles, no offense, they're not going to, with that division, they're not going to go anywhere, especially with a depleted farm system now.
Can I just say, though, an outfield of Soto in right, Mullins in center, Austin Hayes in left.
It does stuff, but it's not going to do it all.
That might get you in this year. They just passed up the Red Sox today.
Yeah.
Oh, they did? I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're now the third wild, or they're a half a game out of the third wild card slot.
Insane.
They're 4th in the East.
And they have the number 1 ranked prospect, like, farm system.
Oh, God, Brandon, you're spiteful. I like that. All right, let's see how spiteful. Let's see how spiteful guys are. Because the next one we're going to talk about is just sort of a uncomfortable one. So Julian's going to go last for obvious reasons. So the name is maybe one of the biggest names to get tossed around in trade rumors ever. Shohei Otani. Again, there's been no official report, just sort of speculation that the Angels could look to unload a guy who has a year and a half left on his contract, then becomes an unrestricted free agent, despite the fact he's only been in baseball for 5 years because he was an international free agent as opposed to a draftee. It's a very interesting one. I almost don't know how to sort of position this other than it is improbable. However, it's not impossible.
Nothing's impossible.
It's going to take a lot.
Especially unfortunate news for Mike Trout. Not as unfortunate as I guess we once thought with what his back situation is. So Brandon, I will let you kick this one off because somebody has to, and it can't be Julian because we gotta let this one really
Julian has to go last, and I apologize, Julian. This is literally probably the worst pick you could have done as a GM today.
Yeah.
But I'll make it a little easier. I'll have him going to another team that you root for. I have him going to the Mets, obviously.
I thought that was going to be a Yankee sell. Oh man.
No. I have him going to the Mets. I recently read an article that Billy Epler was very much in on Otani before, like when he was first coming to the U.S. He got he really got close to him, to his representative. He really liked the idea of him playing. So I think Billy Epler he operates in the shadows. I could see him doing something very sneaky like this, bringing him over, clearing both the hitting issue and a pitching issue for us in the back end of the rotation. What's up?
My bad. I think Epler was also part of the Angels organization for Otani signing.
They literally developed like an actual connection. So there is history there. I see that they give away a lot, though. The Mets are going to give away Dominic Smith, who wants to play in LA. It's already been shown. They're going to give away Ronnie Mauricio, the number 3 prospect, who truthfully doesn't have a place in the system with Francisco Lindor here for the next 9 to 8 years, maybe 7. They're going to give away Matt Allen, the number 6 prospect. They're going to give away Nick Plummer, who's already come up to the big leagues, their number 8 prospect, and shows he can ball. And fills that outfield spot. And they're going to possibly give away Calvin Ziegler at their number 11 prospect. They're going to give away a haul for it. The Mets are now the number 6 top farm system in the entire MLB. So we'll probably drop back to the mid-tier after that. But what you're getting is
you're getting 2 players for 1.
Literally a generational talent and
marketability.
And he's going, and from what I've read and what I understand, Otani wants to go to a very strong Asian culture population.
Yeah, also a contender as well because he wants to win.
And also a contender as well. You have that in Queens. And he wants to get paid. BDS is going to make sure that happens.
All right.
I wouldn't hate that.
So Julian, I'm going to unfortunately tell you he's going to stay in Southern California, but not as unfortunate as you think. He will not be a Dodger. He will be a San Diego Padre.
Ooh, okay.
So I look at the Angels as a team who still desperately want to be in the playoffs. If you're letting go of Shohei Otani, you want a haul in terms of young talent, but you are not putting yourself too far out of contention with the talent you get. I look at the Padres as a team who not only can pay Shohei Otani with all the money they have coming off the books, but on top of it, they can give the Angels talent that realistically is major league ready, has proven themselves to be major league ready. And could theoretically help the Angels contend again within the next couple of years. So I have recently debuted Mackenzie Gore, former number 1 overall prospect. Another former number 1 overall prospect in shortstop CJ Abrams. Then I have current bullpen arm, potential starter Adrian Morejon. Then Ryan Weathers, another major league ready arm. All of these guys no longer have prospect numbers attached to them because they've debuted in the major leagues, have found places in the major leagues. And then you have the number 3 overall prospect, a guy who, until the Yankees drafted a more, physical equivalent to, was briefly being called the next Aaron Judge. In James Wood, a 6'7" outfielder number 3 overall prospect in the San Diego Padres system, going to the Angels. Gives you so much youth, so much potential. You have guys who've been touted as being, the next great, whether it be starter, reliever, infielder, and then James Wood, an all-time power bat. I look at it and I say, if you're the Angels, that's the package you want. You want something for, yes, the future, but also not, again, selling your fan base on, 10 more years of not being in the playoffs for Mike Trout. So that was my sell there.
All right. I do like that package. I kind of went a different way with the package I was trying to get back for Otani, because in my mindset, if we try to get rid of Otani, it needs to be a full rebuild, because obviously we can't build a contender that while also trying to build prospects. Like there needs to be a clear direction for the Angels. And so I had him staying in California. However, I have him going north to the San Francisco Giants.
Ooh, wow.
So I had no major league players right now, although I do have a lot of prospects going back. I have them trading Marco Luciano. I have them trading Kyle Harrison, Hunter Bishop, Patrick Bailey, as well as Heliot Ramos. 5 prospect trade. The Angels need to just bolster up their farm system. It's been bottom tier for a long time. And any type of trade like this will bring them back into a mid-tier farm system, and then they can build in the future going forward.
I will say,
I don't want to lose Otani, and it will hurt.
Yeah. No, fair enough.
As long as he doesn't go to the Dodgers.
What about this? What if you lose Otani, get all those trade packages, and then Aaron Judge signs with you guys for the long term after that?
I'd kill myself.
See, I'm just in the mindset with the Angels is no matter what bat we sign, it will not mean a goddamn thing if we don't have pitching.
True.
That's why I also had a lot of right-handed and left-handed pitchers in this trade package, because clearly they need pitching.
Yeah,
dude, that was literally my concept here is they have to just get pitching back. So
yeah, and I had I liked Marco Luciano, who's their number 1 overall prospect. Shortstop is a need that is going to be there for a while for the Angels. Yeah. I like Squid, but he's not the long-term solution.
I will say I appreciate the fact that all 3 of us had National League teams there. A thing that we could not have conceived, pre National League teams getting the DH.
Yeah,
is Otani just being a full-time National Leaguer.
Because I remember when Otani was coming over, the main thing was he wanted to bat, he wanted to pitch, but he wanted to stay on the West Coast to be close to Japan, so the flights aren't that much longer during the postseason and all that. I don't want him to go.
I get it, man.
He's the only reason it's worth watching Angels games at this point.
I mean, not to that depressing sense, but Yankees, Aaron Judge, I get it. But so what we're going to transition to is a very quick calling bull and calling ball. If you guys don't mind, I'm going to take the calling bull segment here. I'm going to call bull on something that's a little bit of a weird one for me as a Yankee fan. The Derek Jeter, the Captain documentary is currently airing on ESPN. It's been great so far, but I can't help but feel like something is missing from it. And I really sat down and thought about it and pinpointed something specific. With the Last Dance, which was a retrospective of the 98 Bulls, and just focus a little extra on Jordan, I feel like there should have been an inverse there. That documentary should have just been about Michael Jordan, the clear-cut greatest player in NBA history. Whereas a story of the late 90s, early 2000s Yankees should not be a Jordan or a Jeter retrospective, but rather one about the entirety of the core four. The fact that Mariano Rivera, Jorge Posada, Andy Pettitte, and to a lesser extent, because he's not so much included in it, but is behind Julian, and for Yankee fans specifically, is Bernie Williams on that outside looking in of that core four. For me, I struggle with this idea that, I understand to the rest of the world, Jeter was the guy, but for Yankee fans and for the people watching those games at that time, Jeter was maybe my third favorite player on that team for a very long time. I idolized Bernie. I loved Jorge Posada. Mariano Rivera is literally the greatest player at what he did ever.
Yeah.
That is almost the Jordan of the core four, if you think about it. And the fact that this is a Jeter-only dot with guys relegated to little portions of, we almost traded Mariano, or Bernie talking about what it was like before he got there. Posada's appeared once in the first two episodes. It's crazy to me.
I do agree with you, and I hope it changes in the next few episodes.
I hope so.
Yeah, I will say it's only 2 episodes in. My gripe with it is that they're and we kind of spoke about this offline, but they're not doing the same format as The Last Dance, where it's not consistently based.
Yeah.
Last Dance, granted, COVID played a huge factor. Every Sunday night, 8:00,
Yeah.
I'm sitting there watching another episode of The Last Dance. I feel like it's kind of lost in the sauce now. I mean, it's in the middle of the season, granted.
For sure. But I feel like if you're tuning in every day to a different player's storyline and how they impacted winning for, 5 World Series, you're talking about most of baseball has not won 5 World Series. That's, that has to be something. And it's not in the same, and that's the thing for me, is it's not in the same vein as the Jordan, situation where Jordan is the clear-cut great, you could throw LeBron in now. 30 years later, he gets looped into that argument. For Jeter, though, it is not a greatest of all time situation. It is just a pop culture icon. But the pop culture icon played alongside, I should say, some of the actual greatest of all time. When you talk about Mariano, when you talk about Pettitte, literally the winningest pitcher in playoff history. You talk about Posada, one of the better offensive catchers in baseball history. Bernie Williams is, undisputedly one of the hardest exclusions from the Baseball Hall of Fame. But, so that was my goal. So on a positive note, who wants to take this away with the ball?
I'll take it away with the ball. I'll keep it in New York. It's a positive note because at the end of the day, I mean, this second game, while the better team obviously won, this second game kind of exemplifies the whole concept of balling this year, and the fact that for the first time in history, definitely in the Subway Series, which has started since 1997, both New York teams are definitely in the top of their division. The Mets are a couple games out of the top of the NL, and the Yankees are top of the AL. Both teams, top of their division, went head to head. Outcome may be the outcome. We can put that aside. Obviously, the Mets fan, I'm happy about it. But just in general, it's great for baseball.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone's sitting here talking about, this could be the second coming of the Subway Series in the World Series. We were just a little too young to remember, to actually fully enjoy it. I barely remember it, but to fully enjoy it, we were
fully
a little too young. And it's really nice. At the end of the day, no matter what sport you're talking about, New York is the mecca of that sport. The fact, especially if there are 2 teams representing the state, I'm very excited to know that we have a good thing going this year. The Yankees just traded for Benintendi. Bye Joey Gallo. Essentially, we're not going to have to see his porous offense, his porous defense out there, even though he allegedly used to be a Gold Glover. The Mets have something going on right here. Jacob deGrom finally did his very final rehab start. We're going to see him next week. going against the Nationals probably. I'll probably miss that episode. I'll be at the game. Sorry, guys. But long story short, the ball in general is New York sports is back in terms of the baseball sense. Everybody loves it, and I'm very excited to see how the second half of the season will go.
I agree. It's crazy that like the stat that this is the first time ever, because like even 2006, like they both ended up in first place, but then like you think back at it, neither team was in first place during that Subway Series in like June or July. It was And it's just not good for baseball. It's so fun. Even like a lot of my coworkers who aren't big baseball fans came up to me yesterday and they're like, "Oh, are you watching? You watching the Subway Series?" I'm like, "You already fucking know I'm watching the Subway Series. I'm on the floor right now and I'm watching it. Like, it's New York baseball. I'm gonna watch it."
Come on now.
Oh, for sure. And that's the thing is, it's a weird one because for our generation, this has become essentially new.
Yeah.
Our parents' generation, our grandparents' generation had the New York Giants, the Brooklyn Dodgers playing against the New York Yankees in several World Series and several big matchups. So for our generation, I've joked for a long time that, the New York traded the Dodgers and the Giants for the freaking Mets. But I look at it and I say now is, it's, again, Mets have been around since what, 62?
Yeah.
2 World Series, a couple more trips to the big dance to add to the name. It's a coming of age, if you will. The Yankees, are the Yankees. I'm a fan, but from a baseball sense, to feel like the two teams are at the top is unreal. It's a different type of excitement. It's a different type of energy. We joke on the podcast all the time. We try to one up each other and all this stuff. I can't remember a time where if we had tried to do this, it would have felt so, man, I'm sitting here thinking to myself, Brandon's getting off these jokes, but at the end of the day, I know these Yankees gonna win it all. And Brandon is sitting on the other side thinking, oh shit, niggas talking that crap, but the Mets gonna take it this time. It's so not contentious per se, but it's a rivalry that is built on city pride. It's a rivalry that's built on the love of the game, and it's so beautiful for the game that we all love. So on that note, we are going to end it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in.
Happy birthday, Max Scherzer.
Sure. You got Aaron Judge 3 times tonight, but never again. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. Welcome to the Noble. Thank you again for tuning into the Noble Jump Ball podcast. I get confused with what I say sometimes. It has been real. It has been nice. It has been really, really nice. Brandon, your shirt's still buttoned up. I'm so sorry, but good night, everybody.
Good night, guys.